Is a prologue the same thing as an opening image? How do prologues fit into the Save the Cat beat sheet? Seems like everywhere I turn these days, I'm being asked about prologues. And whenever I get asked the same Save the Cat related question an uncanny amount of times, it makes me A, wish I could go back in time and write my answer into Save the Cat Writes a Novel, because clearly I missed this very important point, and B, because I don't live in an out-of-the-bottle story and therefore can't go back in time, it inspires me to film a YouTube video instead. So here we are. In this video, I'm talking about prologues and how they fit into the Save the Cat beat sheet. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, I'm Jessica Brody, author of Save the Cat Writes a Novel and the founder of the Writing Mastery Academy. Let's talk about prologues. First up, a definition. What is a prologue? A prologue is defined as a separate introductory section of a literary work, which I interpret to mean a piece of narrative that is set apart from the main story in some way and for good reason. The key here is good reason, which leads me to my next point. When to use a prologue. To me, prologues are most effective when they do feel different from the main storyline, either because of tone, point of view, perspective, timeline, or some other attribute. But in order to warrant the use of a prologue, you need to ask yourself, what purpose does it serve to the reader's experience? Like, maybe you're flashing forward to a point in the future to give the reader a hint of what's to come, or flashing back into the past to give the reader perspective on your character or your world. Maybe you want to show the point of view of another character who is not your hero, because their perspective will prove important somehow. Maybe you want to give the reader a piece of information that your hero doesn't have. Maybe you want to tease the reader with something that will happen later in the plot. Or maybe you want to give the reader a sneak peek of how your hero will be feeling, or the tone of voice that they're going to use when they're further along in the story. Like, for example, in the middle of the action, after they've just experienced a midpoint twist or an all is lost low. This might serve as a useful contrast to the hero's tone and emotion at the start of the story in chapter 1. All of these feel like good reasons to have a prologue. If the prologue doesn't feel separate from and important to the story, then you might not need it. I can't tell you how many prologues I've written into the first draft and then later deleted in revisions because I thought it was important to the story, but really it was just me figuring things out and later deciding it wasn't necessary. If you want to read one of my deleted prologues from my book A Week of Mondays, I will link that in the description below. So now we've got the definitions out of the way and why you might want to use a prologue. Let's talk about how prologues fit into the Save the Cat beat sheet. What beat are they? Is it an opening image or something else? Well, as I always say, it depends. I swear that will be written on my tombstone. And that's why the question is worthy of an entire video. It really depends on the function of your prologue. Is it serving to introduce your hero in a way that gives the reader their first glimpse at who this hero is, what their flaws might be, what their goals might be, or other crucial information? Then yes, I would consider that your opening image. On the other hand, if your hero isn't even mentioned in the prologue, or they play a very small part in your prologue, I would not say that that's your opening image, but rather a teaser or a sidebar to your story. I personally consider the opening image beat to be the reader's first illuminating glimpse at the hero of your story, or one of them if you have multiple heroes. So if you don't even meet your hero in a significant way until chapter 1, then that would probably serve as your opening image and should check all the boxes of an effective one. Let's break down a few prologues and see what we have. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. In this popular mystery novel, the prologue features a flash forward to the day of a big wedding. Outside, a creepy storm rages, knocking out the power and all of the lights. And then someone screams in terror. That's all we get. Talk about a teaser, especially because you flip to the next chapter and see that the author, Foley, has rewound in time to the day before the wedding and will work up to what we read in the prologue. I don't consider this an opening image because we haven't yet met any of the point of view characters, the wedding planner, the bride, the best man, the bridesmaid, and the +1. But it's introducing us to the narrative style of the story, which will be the jump back and forth between the wedding and the events leading up to the wedding. It also serves as an attention grabber for the reader. We want to know why this person is screaming in terror, and we're willing to stick around through some not quite as exciting setup in order to find out. Now let's look at Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This prologue, on the other hand, does serve as an opening image in my opinion, because not only are we getting a teaser of what's to come, author Ernest Cline teases the catalyst beat in his prologue, we're also getting a glimpse of the hero himself and his obsession with the Oasis, a futuristic virtual reality world, which is also part of the hero's flaw, avoiding the real world. How about All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr? In the 8-part prologue of this Pulitzer Prize-winning historical fiction novel, we, the readers, get a glimpse at several things. The two heroes of the story, Marie Lore and Werner, the major conflict of the story, World War II, and even the all is lost beat to come, the bombing of Saint-Malo. Author Anthony Doerr then cleverly weaves a past and present narrative together until we finally catch up to the prologue on page 433. This prologue serves as a teaser, an introduction to the narrative format, and a brief glimpse of the two heroes of the story. You could almost call it a pre-opening image. And now let's look at The Geography of Lost Things, one of my own novels. When I wrote this young adult contemporary, I worried about holding the reader's attention until I reached the catalyst on page 20. Although I do like what I have in my setup beat, I worried it might feel a little slow. So I teased the catalyst right up front, but only with enough information to hopefully be intriguing, not enough to actually give away what the catalyst is. In the short half-page prologue, a messenger appears at the hero's front door with a special delivery from a man named Jackson who has been dead for 2 weeks. Later in the setup beat, we'll learn that Jackson is the hero's estranged father who was always in and out of her life, and even later in the catalyst, we'll learn what the messenger has brought. I don't consider this an official opening image, even though it does vaguely hint at the character's flaw, which is being too quick to throw people away before giving them a chance at redemption. I think of it more as a teaser, and chapter 1 as my official opening image. Because the prologue of a novel is purposely set apart from the rest of the story, it can serve many different functions as we've seen, and can also hint at many different beats. I've seen prologues hint at catalysts, midpoint twists, all is lost, and even break into threes. I've even seen the prologue hint at a theme of a novel, like in The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon, where Yoon writes about the interconnectivity of things, and how sometimes two things as unrelated as a printing press and apple pie can actually be connected by destiny. The same way destiny can lead you exactly where you need to go, even if you never planned for it. So when you're crafting a prologue for your own story, be sure you have a purpose for it and that it stands apart from the rest of the novel. Then you can decide how it fits into your beat sheet. Because after all, prologues are as unique as the writers who write them, and it all depends on the story you're trying to tell. I hope this breakdown of prologues and the Save the Cat beat sheet was helpful. If you want to dive deeper into the Save the Cat method, be sure to download my free Save the Cat starter kit at jessicabrody.com/starter kit. I'll link to that below, and check out my books Save the Cat Writes a Novel or my Save the Cat online novel writing course, where I walk you through how to use the Save the Cat method to write your own novels, and I brainstorm my own novel right along with you. That course is available streaming and on demand in the Writing Mastery Academy. Until next time, everyone, happy writing and happy prologuing?